Today we're going to build a personal altar that you can use to remind you of what's really important in your life. Welcome back to the Living with a Wild Heart channel, the place where you can find ecotherapy practices and tips to live a more wild and natural life. And today we're going to be talking about altars. And altars can be found all across cultures throughout the world. And maybe you can remember back when you were a kid and you had all those little nature treasures and things that were really important to you, and you had that special place that you would put them. That was an altar. Altars are special places that we designate to hold sacred items to us, who remind us who we are and also our place in the more than human world. Today we're going to be looking at different kinds of altars, looking at the things that people put on their altars, and we're also going to make an altar. Humans can be a forgetful species. Altars remind us of what's truly important. They remind us of things like what we aspire to, what we hold dear to our hearts, what we value. They remind us of our commitments. They remind us of friends who have passed on and our ancestors. They also direct us to powers and energies that we can draw support from. Okay, let's go build an altar. Here are some things you might include in your altar. Let's take a closer look. Bones and antlers connect us to the wildness of nature, that these are part of another living creature, seeing and moving through the world. And they also connect us to our own mortality and to death. Candles can be an important element to an altar. They connect us to the sacred element of fire. And also, when we light them, they help us to know that we're in a sacred space and a sacred time. Personal affirmations can also be an important part of an altar. These are things that you write about yourself to remind you who you are or to remind you who you're becoming. Vases, vessels, containers, these can also be really important to have. Symbolically, they hold the things that we hold dear to ourselves, and they invite in with their open space. Vases can hold water, which connect you to the element of water, and they also can hold beautiful flowers that connect us to the vibrancy of life. Feathers connect us to the element of air and the winged beauty of the birds flying through it. They connect with our hopes and our dreams and our prayers that we put out there, and the miracle of flight. They help us to soar above our challenges. Special notes or letters we receive, we put these on our altars to remind us of our relationships and connections with our friends and mentors and those who are important in our life. We also have them on our altars to remind us of the reflections that people see in us, because sometimes it's hard to see the beauty inside ourselves, and these cards can be a reminder. Some people include medicines on their altar. These medicines are a rose heart elixir and an osha tincture. For some, a musical instrument may be an important sacred item to put on your altar. Here's a drum made from elk skin. People may include objects from nature. The ones here include a hawk's talon, a stick that was struck by lightning, a rattlesnake skin, a duck's wing, and pine cones from a giant sequoia tree. Stones and crystals and heart rocks connect us with the earth. They have a strong grounding energy that helps us to remember who we are and help us to stay anchored and connected to our intentions. They also hold their own individual powers and mysteries as well. Some people find it important to have fortune-telling cards on their altar. You may have some different sacred items or symbolic items in your altar. Here we have a spiral shell and a rock with a spiral on it. There's a bone carving of a goddess figure, a pouch that has special significance, and tokens as well that also carry special significance. We'll talk more about this cloth, but red is a very important color because it signifies blood, which connects us to all living things. The blood that flows through our veins that gives us life. There are many kinds of altars. A personal altar is a more general altar, but there are ancestor altars, nature altars, ceremonial altars, and altars that are specialized for a particular intention. For example, a peace pole. Once we find our flat place for the altar, we're going to lay our altar cloth across the table. Now we're going to begin laying out the altar, first starting with the centerpieces. This is going to be an altar devoted to the memory of friends and family. And I'm going to put a heart rock on here to symbolize love. I'm going to put a pine cone from a giant sequoia tree to symbolize the power of things that can start small but grow to be so big. And I'm going to put some rose quartz to symbolize love, and some rose heart elixir. And then we'll put 2 candles here. And there we have it. So now that you have an altar, it's time to use it. Altars can be a place of prayer or meditation. It can be a place to say your daily affirmation or to silently express gratitude. An altar is a living thing, so don't worry about adding or taking things away. Allow it to change as you change. The important thing is to regularly engage with it. That as you tend to your altar, and as you dust it and take care of it, or maybe even rearrange it, you are also symbolically tending to yourself. Have fun making your altar, and when you're done, send a photo so I can see it. I'd love to check it out. And post in the comment section some of the things that you have on your altar. Enjoyed today's episode? Consider subscribing to our Living with a Wild Heart channel, where you can learn more about ecotherapy practices and tips to live a more wild and natural life.